with Badass Rides TV. Got Tom Long here, Grand Am Rolex driver, professional driver, Spec Miata veteran.
Yeah.
You can drive anything, I guess.
Anything they'll let me drive, I'll take.
All right. So Tom, couple quick fun questions. What kind of driving do you do?
Mostly sports car racing. So so anything, you know, that going right and left. Sometimes that's on ovals. You know, like NASCAR tracks, Daytona, Homestead Speedway, Kansas Speedway. Except we make a roval out of them. We actually have a road course section that we'll race within the oval. You know, some of the more famous races being the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, of course, and things like that. So so mainly road courses, elevation, things like that.
Oh, cool. So, what's the most fun you've ever had driving?
I gotta say, I think it's gotta be when you have cars in the same type of class that are comprised of completely different things. So you might have a front-wheel drive turbocharged car and a rear-wheel drive light momentum car. And I can remember specifically a race at Homestead Speedway with Randy Popes that we went back and forth for about a half hour, where he would be by on the straightaways, I'd be by in the corners and the brake zones. And at the end of the lap, you're at the same point, the same lap time, but they're made, you know, the cars make it up in totally two different entire places on the circuit. So it's a lot of fun that way.
Very cool. All right, Tom. I've seen your fan club members walk around with these big posters of your head. Why is your head so big?
Yeah, you know, it's just the cool thing. It's the in thing to be right now, is to have a fat head of I'm just fortunate to have fans that are so endearing to do that to
All
me.
the cool kids have really big heads.
Exactly. That's it.
All right. What's your favorite car and why?
You know, that's a tough question. I think there's so many manufacturers out there that make such great cars. I mean, you know, take the Mazda, for instance, a lightweight, nimble car. It can do anything. You can put it anywhere, and it doesn't burn tires or fuel. It's just very efficient. Then you've got something like a BMW, which is just an amazingly balanced car. Big torque, rear-wheel drive. And take a Porsche, for instance, where you have the engine in back and it is very well balanced, amazing brakes. I mean, so many manufacturers making great cars out there these days. It's just it's hard to pick one.
Great. So, Tom, we've come to the dare portion of the show.
Oh no.
So you get the choice. You can show us if you can Dougie.
Negative.
Or you can try to knock out 25 push-ups.
Yeah, I need to get a workout in today, so might as well try to do the push-ups.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
All right, folks, he's doing it. Tom Long.
Race car driver's got to be
race car
strong,
driver doing
right?
push-ups. I think he's got it. What are you at? 12, 13, 14. Tom, people are looking at you very funny.
I wonder why. I'm training for the next race.
He's training for the Ironman. He's going to drive the 24 hours at Daytona by himself.
One more for good luck, right there.
By
there you
himself.
Go. All right. It has been accomplished.
All right. No challenge too great for Tom.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Tom, what's the biggest mistake drivers that you coach make? What's a big common mistake that they make?
Well, I think, you know, just naturally just getting into motorsport or getting into just driving on the track is the expectation of having to have a car that's completely over prepped, for instance. You know, you don't need to have a lot of modifications to a car in order to have a great time and to learn a lot. And I think, you know, manufacturers make cars nowadays that are so good from the factory that with minimal upgrades, if any at all, you can take that car on the track and have a blast with it, learn a lot, and then when it's time to make that next step up into a proper track car, then you can do so, or have fun making upgrades to the car you got. But I think it's just some folks go too much too soon, and then they start to get confused with what exactly where they're at with their driving compared to what the car's doing, and that gets to be too much of a gray area too quickly.
Okay, good enough. And I think, to what you were saying, that the cars are so good, and even some inexpensive cars, or relatively inexpensive cars, like the Subaru BRZ and the Scion FRZ, those things are great.
They are, and I got to be honest, something, if you're into American muscle, a standard V6 Ford Mustang is a phenomenal car out there on the track.
And you can get those, so they're just not all that expensive to get out on the racetrack.
Yep.
All right, so Tom, what's up next for you?
So, I tell you, with the being on the heels of a successful 2013 season, the merger for next year with the American Le Mans Series and Grand Am being combined, there's certainly a lot of uncertainty with that. But I think for me, for next year, I'm thankful that I have re-signed with Speed Source for next season in their factory Mazda program. So I couldn't be more excited about that and what that holds for next year.
Really nice.
Yeah, but we'll see. There's going to be a lot of shakeup, a lot of new teams, a lot of manufacturers, a new series. There's going to be a lot of excitement.
Very cool. Thing or product or upgrade to a car that gets sort of overlooked or is underestimated with the kind of impact it has in getting your car sort of track ready?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things, but safety items for sure. You think you need to make your car go faster? Not necessarily. If you can actually you can take a safety item as even brakes, for instance. Just high-performance brake pads for the track, where they can endure more heat. They have less wear. It's amazing how much that can actually make a difference. As simple as a couple $100 on brake pads, but also like safety equipment, like having harnesses that hold you in the car better. Believe it or not, with as much G load that these new cars are pulling these days, sitting in the seat properly and using that steering wheel for what it's intended for instead of as a handle can certainly make a big difference for you.
Instead of hanging on for dear life.
Exactly.
So Tom, do you do drifting?
So I have, not professionally, but I do have the distinct fortune of being one of the instructors at the BMW Performance Center in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where they build all the X vehicles for world production, and there we do what's known as a hot lap during our corporate program.
Emphasis on hot.
yeah, exactly. So of course we get to take the latest and greatest, the M3 or the M5, for about a minute or two worth of just completely sideways Continental Tire smoke show. So it's
tires screaming, throttle to the floor, sliding sideways.
Everybody loves it, including the driver. So it's that's my claim to drifting. So have a good time with that.
Sounds fun.
It is.
So have you been to the new F1 track in Austin, Texas? I think it's Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, absolutely. What an incredible facility that is. It is absolutely a world-class facility. The Formula One track itself is amazing. You wouldn't think of elevation in Texas, but the track has hundreds of feet of elevation. What a neat layout too. You have these long straightaways with these big passing zones at the end, so you can have 4 or 5 passing zones per lap. I mean, that's a really impressive place. It's just neat to be in the same set of garages as Formula One champions have been in.
Wow, really exciting, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, coming up, what do you think the biggest storyline is for 2014?
Yeah, there's going to be a few of them, I think, but one of them, I mean, if fans naturally are going to follow the big class, the big prototype class, you're going to have Daytona prototypes from the Grand Am series, and you're going to have the ALMS LMP2 cars from the Le Mans series. So these cars are going to have to fit in the same class. They're two totally different structures as far as how they achieve speed around the track. So to get that balance of performance is going to be tough work on IMSA's part. I think that's going to be whoever can get that figured out and take advantage of that right away as the season hits Daytona and then Sebring. Those are being big endurance races to start. That's going to be it's going to be pretty big.
Tom, what does someone? Can you explain what folks get from getting coaching from you?
Yeah, so it's actually something I really enjoy because there's so many different facets and nuances to it. But mainly, generically speaking, if someone has a car that they're looking to get out on a track that they know, or even if they don't know, if they need some help learning a new track, but say a track that they know and they know well, or getting to know, that I'm able to help them by riding along. I can see what they're doing and where they're driving and the approach they take, and then we can switch it up the next session. They can actually ride with me,
wow.
and we can talk to specific points and kind of cater to some of the things that we discussed in the first run that they can then feel, because sometimes explaining it all day, you don't get it until you really feel it, and then you can actually emulate that.
So they drive, you tell them what you want them to do and what changes you want to make, then you swap, and then you show them those concepts that you were trying to articulate.
Exactly. And then while we're doing that the whole time, whether they have a data system in the car that records or I'll bring one, we're actually able to overlay that data and kind of see what those time deltas and those speed differences are. And by doing that, then it gives us information and goals to work on the rest of the day, and whether that be the day or the weekend, to keep on developing that. And so it's really neat to kind of finish at the end of the day, and it's entirely natural for someone to pick up a second, 2 seconds.
That's
on
a lot.
It's a bunch of time, and it's just so much fun because they're so excited about it. And not only are we looking at data, but we're also looking at the video, and so it's giving them specific reference points.
So they get data and video.
And they're able to see specific reference points. If we say, oh, we want to brake 30 feet later, well, we actually go to the video and pick out a point, and that's that point, so that they can also, instead of just looking at squiggly lines and trying to make sense of that, they're actually getting raw footage of what they were doing, so they can kind of associate it better in their mind.
And so if you're a guy like me, sometimes that day I don't necessarily get it, but if I have a chance to go back and review it, then it's sort of, you can sleep on it and then see the video again and then recall the concepts, then you really learn. So you really get a big takeaway from it, don't you?
Absolutely. And yeah, of course, you get the video and you're seeing that, and as a reference, if we video the whole day, then we're able to get some laps where I'm driving and you're driving, and you can compare those things afterward. And like you said, sitting on it for a day or overnight, it can make all the difference. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And furthermore, if you're doing something, say with motorsport cars, like race cars that are no passenger seat, things like that, you can still do all that stuff. Plus, if you're not riding along and the car has a two-way radio communication system, you can instantly give that feedback from the side of the track.
Oh, so like a spotter.
Exactly.
I got you.
So instead of doing 10 laps of a certain corner one way, you can actually make adjustments through the session and make it a successful session and make progress as that goes on.
So Tom, how does someone find you? How do they book like a coaching session, and where do you provide coaching?
Yeah, so if you go to longroadracing.com, I have a Tom Long coaching page on there. You can fill out the questionnaire, and it'll contact me, and I can get in touch with you about that. But really, again, fortunate to have EIR in our backyard here, but I go all over. I'm looking forward to going to as we spoke about, the Circuit of the Americas in Austin in a couple weeks, to do some work out there. And all over the East Coast. So very fortunate to be able to do that, and it's wherever whatever the next opportunity takes you.